Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick. I'm here with Vubang. What's up, Vubang?
What's up?
And we just watched the epic final preseason matchup between the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. And that's the shortest preseason in history, probably. And but I watched the game. It's because I've been so starved for Warriors basketball. I will watch Juan Toscano Anderson all day.
Yeah, and he was plus 17 today.
He was
plus 7.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
16 minutes.
Yeah. So what did you think of these guys? Just your impressions.
Yeah, I just want to start by saying, I read that in the preseason they're letting the teams pick between 2 games and 4 games, and the Warriors decided to go with 3, which was interesting. Getting a bunch of reps in, and then the whole back to back thing, the home and home, playing Sacramento twice. That's not a big deal. Like, it was just as enjoyable to watch the same team. It's just like in baseball when you have like a homestand against the Yankees for 3 games in a row. I didn't mind seeing the Kings twice in a row.
No. Because I really like so far watching Tyrese Haliburton play. I've talked about this before after the last Kings game when I did a solo podcast, and I just think he's going to be a fun player to watch. He has like all the intangibles. He kind of reminds me of Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala out there, just in terms of his instincts and making the right play. He blocked Steph once, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's not easy."
I saw a steal too on that, right? Didn't he do a steal as well? It was pretty impressive.
Yeah. He has a lot of those just smart plays in the right spot at the right time, and I was bummed that Wiseman didn't play because I really would have enjoyed seeing him play regardless, but particularly against Hassan Whiteside, who everybody compared him to for some reason.
Yeah, he's listed as a did not play rest because there's probably not an option for did not play COVID.
Yeah, although there probably should be.
Let's start with Haliburton. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's just really fun to watch him play. Just this week, Nate Silver came out a list of the top 6 projected players based on NCAA play, and he listed Haliburton as number 1, Wiseman 2, and Anthony Edwards number 3. I know that list seems kind of weird, but now that I'm seeing Haliburton twice, I mean, he's amazing. Like, do you think he has a higher ceiling than most people think, or?
I do. From the very outset, people talked about him being a good fit on the Warriors, and he was always talked about as one of the first guys getting picked in the first half of the lottery. And then he fell to 12, right? Was that where it was? 11 or 12 or something? And I thought that was ridiculous. And I'd read this in an article that, maybe the Warriors should trade their Minnesota pick for a second pick in the 2020 lottery and try to get somebody else. And when Haliburton fell to 12, I was like, oh shit, they should have done that.
Yeah, I think that Minnesota pick is worth more than 75% of the Warriors players right now.
I'm really excited about that pick, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, but Haliburton, man, he's long. He's got long ass arms. He's skinny, but he just has a nose for the ball, and he just seems savvy. And when you look at his stats from Iowa State, I think he was somewhere in the mid-teens in points, and then somewhere with like 6 assists, 6 rebounds. I mean, that's solid. That's well-rounded right there.
Yeah, he shot 50% from the field goals and 3-pointers, and then he was plus 11 today with 7 points. I mean, I guess they're easing him in, but I mean, I just want to see him play more and more.
Yeah, I wonder how or when he'll eventually crack the starting lineup. I don't know. Is Buddy Hield their starting 2 guard, or was he coming off the bench last season?
He's their starting. Yeah, he's starting. But I think they're talking about when they talked about drafting Haliburton, they were talking about sliding him down or coming off the bench, but they're paying him way too much money to have him come off the bench.
Yeah. Any other observations?
I mean, are we sure Oubre's not a good 3-point shooter?
He sure as hell looked good tonight. He looked smooth, man. That lefty uh, 3-point shot, that jumper. I mean, I'm a fan of this dude.
He was 4 for 6 from 3-point today,
Wow.
plus
Yeah,
19.
both he and Wiggins really showed out. Oubre's impressed me since he's joined the squad. Just the effort is good, and hopefully he, you know, isn't just some guy who's like a streaky shooter, but somebody that actually gets consistent and matures as a basketball player. Um, yeah, I think he's a good pickup. When he was draining all those threes, I was like, man, can you imagine this team with Klay Thompson out there?
The whole game, I was like, yeah, we're missing a 7'1" center, a power forward that can distribute the ball, and a two guard that plays both ways and shoots threes. That's what would round out the team I saw today.
A guy that shoots like 40% plus from 3-point land.
One thing that I sort of thought about, I don't know if I sort of heard this, but I wanted to touch upon it a little bit deeper, is even if Klay Thompson was not injured for this year, I mean, half the players on this team are just not playoff ready. I mean, either way, this is going to be sort of the Warriors 2013, 2014 year, like losing to the Clip. Like they need that first round loss. They need that loss to the Clippers for them to get that edge. Even with Klay, it's sort of, we're pushing maybe the second or third round, but in some cases, this is still going to be sort of a quote unquote learning year. For most teams, learning is just hopefully making the playoffs. But for us, it's, just being able to get those minutes in with the young guys and then coming back next year pretty strong.
Yeah, I think that I've come to terms with Clay being out, and I actually saw them, and I'm not the only one. I think Richard Jefferson on the broadcast in the fourth quarter was saying that he would have put the Warriors in contention if Clay hadn't gotten hurt, and I would have too. You move everybody down a spot. I think that with the growing pains of a shortened season and trying to get acclimated to each other and having guys not play for a long time, including Steph, who didn't even play. He basically played 5 games in the last year or something. So I don't know. At this point, I'll be happy if they make the playoffs, uh, show some progress with their younger guys, figure out who they're going to keep, whether Wiggins is going to be somebody they want to hold on to, whether they want to re-sign Oubre, and where that Minnesota pick is going to land, and that's where I see the bridge, to the franchise moving past Steph, past Draymond, past Clay, and those guys will be around still for a long time. And so, I think they could teach some guys. Uh, Richard Jefferson also said that he thought that this Warrior squad, as currently constituted, was a 4 to 5 seed. I was like, all right, Richard Jefferson, who I used to despise when he was on the Cavs, and he was speaking glowingly about Steph and Draymond and Steve Kerr.
So it doesn't matter the difference between a 4 to 5 seed to a 7-8 play-in seed to a just barely missed the playoffs seed in the West, because we're talking about a 3-game difference between all those teams. Just how good the West is. Like, it could be very well that the Warriors miss the playoffs by 1 game, or they're a 4th seed by being ahead
Yeah.
2 or 3 games from the 8th seed. It's going to be a weird season. Like, I'm not obviously thinking about things in terms of 72 games, but it's going to be a weird, wacky season. I'm excited for the play-in tournament because I feel like it's always going to be top of mind for the whole season. This is a fun team to watch. Maybe it's because we were just not fun to watch last year. But this is a fun, like this, the floor is league pass team and the ceiling is, the 4 to 5.
Yeah. And you could even tell like a big difference between the first Kings game and this one. There was more cohesion. They kind of knew their spots a little bit better. And now that you had Pascal back in the lineup and you had him on the second unit. I look at the second unit last game and I was like, holy shit, who the hell is going to score on this team? You know? And that's why they're pushing so much defensive effort because they're going to have to stop people from scoring because they won't be able to score themselves sometimes. But, the second unit lineup that they rolled out of Pascal, Bazemore, Wiggins, Wanamaker, and Marquise Chris, I was like, oh, that's potential.
This is a really good backup for Steph. I mean, Wanamaker's pretty good. Like, I don't feel scared anymore when Steph steps out and Wanamaker jumps in.
He reminds me of what Jarrett Jack used to do a little bit. Yeah, he's steady, and I dig it. And he hit a couple threes. I think he missed a couple free throws, which for a guy who shot 93% last year, I was surprised about. But the dude is tough, knows how to play, and I think that second unit that I just named, they have potential once they kind of get some minutes together to do some stuff. And then if you mix in maybe a Looney, maybe a Wiseman, maybe Poole as options on that second unit, it'll be fun. Like I'm excited. I'm just looking forward to some progress and some entertaining basketball. I have no fantasies of title contention. I would like to just see them like mess with people in the playoffs once they get there.
I don't think anybody is pretty clear about the playoffs this year. I mean, we have higher COVID cases now than during the bubble, and they're just like, sure, like Pop is just gonna put a mask on and fly all over the country because it's better now. So who knows what's gonna happen in the playoffs? Like, I really think it's gonna be a level playing field. So I'm excited. Maybe I'm just being overly optimistic.
I'm excited just because it's going to be so strange and nothing that we've seen. I mean, obviously there was the bubble, but as Warriors fans and however they execute this season and the playoffs, it's going to be odd.
So about the game, I had a few other observations. What did you think about Whiteside? I mean, he was barely jumping and getting rebounds. Like, are you worried about the length
I am a,
or lack of
yeah,
length?
I'm a little worried about that. Obviously Wiseman's on the squad, but in the past there's always been like another dude who was taller than 6'9" at least, who you could just throw in there and body up against someone. Because what if Wiseman isn't able to handle like every single dude? You don't want him to get beat up too much during this season. And also, I wonder actually if Wiseman's going to hit a wall once he starts playing. I think they'll probably be smart and bring him along uh, properly. But you know, these 72 games are going to come really fast, faster than usual, right? So, and he hasn't played, and he's supposedly been training a lot, and he's in good shape. But we'll see.
Well, we know he's good for 3 games, right?
Exactly. Maybe they just play him in like 3 games every month.
Can you explain to me? So, looking at the whole Warriors wingspan issue, I mean, how much does that make up for the lack of height? There was this graphic that came up that showed Draymond, Oubre, Wiggins, Pascal, Looney, and Wiseman all have 7 foot to 7'6" wingspans, even though not all of them. I mean, all of them except for Wiseman max out at 6'9". In some ways, isn't that a good thing? Just sort of you're just smaller and more athletic, but then you have the wingspan of a 7'4" player. Gosh,
That's
Looney.
great, unless there's some dude like Whiteside who you can't rebound or get around, right? That guy's just big. Wingspans are great for passing lanes, for getting rebounds over dudes who are your height or maybe a little bit taller. So in general, that's a net positive. But I just think we're seeing with Whiteside, with Jokic in the first preseason game, that it's always good to have somebody who's like 7 feet tall, just in case, break glass and in case of emergency.
Yeah, I mean the tall center in the regular season, but like once you get in the playoffs, it might be better just to have the smaller tweeners with the 7 foot wingspans.
I want to talk about Wiggins actually, really
Oh,
quick.
okay.
After the first Kings game, I was a little down on Wiggins because I was like, he didn't seem very assertive. But I guess he makes the effort on defense. But he looked good tonight. I think that even though he's not like a dead-eye three. I mean, he gets a little streaky. I like him attacking. I'm not a big fan of his spin move that he uses all the time. I don't know if in Minnesota that always worked for him, but it just seems like he kind of loses control. And for all his athleticism, I really, really wish, I don't know if he can, but I would love to see him finish stronger. He doesn't seem to really dunk that high or that hard. And when he gets the rim, he just tries to get it off the backboard or float it over somebody's hand. So I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, obviously, you look at someone like Oubre who just loves throwing it down. And I wonder if Wiggins has that in his game still.
It's all, yeah, that feels like a mentality thing. Because when Oubre gets within 6 feet, you're just like, he's going to try to get to the rim, like one way or another, like 1 or 2 steps. He's going to somehow get even within inches. With Wiggins, it's sort of like, okay, he's going to spend a few minutes working his way around. But today, I mean, granted, he got 6 fouls, but you could say that the fact that you're getting 6 fouls in a preseason game means you really care. Like, you're really moving on defense. You're really trying. So, just clean it up a bit over the next few games. I would love to see how many games he fouled out in when he was in Minnesota, because he would just disappear. A guy who fouls 6 times in a game is not somebody who disappears. Like, you're just like, oh, where'd that guy go? It's like, he's there.
Yeah. And he's clearly trying hard on D, and not having watched him too closely in Minnesota, I'm guessing he looks a lot different on the defensive end than he used to out there.
I saw him play in Minnesota, and I don't remember anything. Like, I totally forgot he was actually playing. So if that gives you any indication.
Like on either end of the court.
I just don't recall anything about him.
Are you sure he was in the game?
I'd have to look up my ticket stub. Yeah, he was in the game. Otherwise, I would have been really pissed off because I didn't know anybody. I mean, who would know anybody else on that team at the time?
Was that his rookie year?
It would have been his second or third year, I think.
I keep forgetting he was rookie of the year.
Yeah. Let's save that for another episode where we just run down the entire year, the draft year. Okay. I just wanted to end it by saying Steph Curry is good at basketball.
Yeah, he's
really good at basketball.
Do you think he's good at cornrows?
I think I said this before, but he looks like the guy that steals your girlfriend in like 90s romantic comedies. The guy with all the romantic comedies I watched growing up in the 90s. I was like, yeah, that guy's the evil boyfriend. That's the evil guy that steals your girlfriend. I think it's funny that Vivek is just constantly taking ex-Warrior players. I totally forgot that Glenn Robinson III is on the Kings now. He's probably like, oh, he's available? How's that possible? He played for the Warriors. Let's get him. I mean, I wanted him back, but I just think it's funny. Vivek is just like, I want to be the Oakland A's to the Warriors Yankees. Like, that's what I want to be.
That's another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and check us out at oaklandwarriors.com. All right, I'm out. Music in this episode provided by Paper Sun. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time, and go Dubs.